a lesbian and a loudmouth Jew. With a gasket always ready to blow, you're listening to Judy Show. Who? Judy Show. Wait a minute, who are you talking about? Oh, she's an asshole. What is wrong with you? Oh, you suck. So long. Fuck off. Show. Judy Show. Hey, it's me. Welcome to It's Judy Show with Judy Gold. I am your host, Judy Gold. And I'm actually in a good mood. I don't understand what happened. But I'm so excited. Part 2 of my interview with the Good Liars is going to be following this very funny and entertaining introduction. I had quite a week. On last week, I was inducted into the Manhattan Jewish Hall of Fame. It was quite the event. It was hot as hell. But what do you expect? I don't have my bell here. Shit, I got to go upstairs and get my bell. I don't have a bell right now. Okay, so just calm down, everybody. Okay, so that bing. And then there was, I met Marcy Sims. I can't do this without my bell, and I'm not going upstairs. Marcy Sims. Remember the size Sims where you could get clothing, and it was, an educated consumer is our best customer. She was lovely. She was lovely. Josh Einiger, I sat next to him. He's with ABC News, and he always reports from Israel, and he was great and funny and handsome. And then there were, the annoying Jewish types, the very religious, not that there's anything wrong with that, but, I always say there's more than one way to be a good Jew. And that's that. And there's more than one way to be a good person. But there are certain, things you just do to be a good person. Who cares? Anyway, so that was exciting. And the kids came, and Elisa's parents, Amma and Poppy, came. And then we all went out to dinner, and it was just so nice. And my sister came, and my sister Jane, my niece Sarah, Ben's girlfriend Samantha. I mean, it was a nice Hamish event. And it was on the anniversary of my mother's death. So it was beshert. Boy, this is the Jewiest, and I don't even have my bell. What the fuck is going on? Anyway, so that was that. And then on Friday morning, Tuesday, Outstanding, A Comedy Revolution came out on Netflix. And I hope you must watch this. Paige Hurwitz did an amazing job telling the history of LGBTQ plus comedy. And the film is getting just accolades from everyone, including the New York Times, although they didn't mention my name. I hate being the this one and that one and that one, and then my name's not mentioned. It's like, go fuck yourself. Seriously. But it's been so great since this film came out. And people just keep writing to me and telling me, how much they loved my story and that they didn't know about Robin Tyler and that, it's just so important. And it is. So watch Outstanding, A Comedy Revolution on Netflix. It's worth every fucking second. And even my documentary film people are like, oh my God, it was so fucking good. Okay, so that's that. And then Friday, I did Good Morning America with Sandra Bernhardt. And we had to get there at the crack of my fucking asshole. And it was so fun. And, Michael Strahan is so nice. I've known Sam Champion for a long time. I think I mentioned that last week. And we got interviewed by the two of them. I got a free pair of sunglasses. I like my swag because they were doing a sunglass segment. And Sandy and I each put on a pair of sunglasses, and I was like, oh, these are really great, and I really love them, and blah, 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 blah. So, they're like, oh, no, yeah, sure. So that's that, and I got a new car. Friday was the most stressful day of my life. After Good Morning America, I had to hand in my leased Honda, and I had to do that negotiating, and do I want it, and then they go back to the fucking guy who's the head of the finance, and they're like, well, let me see what, I don't know if I can do I don't know. It's like I could teach a class in how to fucking do a car, but I have my first luxury car. I want to cry. And I was going to go back and not get a luxury car because, it's expensive. And I have to tell you, I had to drive up to P-Town. It took 5 hours. It was a fucking pleasure. It was a pleasure. Pleasure. And it's quiet and it's so comfortable. And I drive so much and I'm so happy. And my kids are not driving it. I'm telling you that right now. Right now. Although Henry is an excellent driver, but the shit it's not even about their driving. It's about the fucking shit they leave in the fucking car. Their Dunkin' Donuts coffee shit and, just shit and napkins and bags and sweaty clothes. It's like, what the fuck? It's not your room, Whatever. So I have to tell you, I've gone through all these emotional things about, do I deserve it? And it is, I feel good driving it and it's so fucking comfortable. So I did it. I did something for myself that I didn't think I deserved and I did it. Anyway, so that's that. And this week is a big week. I am going to DC to do a Pride event. And I just opened last night in Provincetown at the Post Office Cabaret, and it was fucking fun and great and wonderful being there. I have another show, so I have shows every starting this Thursday. I have shows every Thursday, Sunday, and Tuesday night at 8:30 at the Post Office Cabaret. So there's that, and I wanted to tell you about a date I have. On July 11th, I'm going to be at the JCC in Margate, New Jersey. I really need my bell. I really, really need my bell. I think it's like the Milton and something Cats. They always name it after the people who donated all the fucking money. Milton and Betty Katz JCC. Although Betty is not a Jewish name. Milton, very Jewy. So I'm going to be there at 7 p.m. on July 11th. And I love doing JCCs because they're just so happy to have you. And they're all J's. So yeah, so that's that. I think that I don't have anything else to really tell you except I love that you, I really want you to watch the film. And I really loved my interview with the Good Liars because they do satire better than anyone. And they're fearless. And we need this now with what's going on in this fucking, the mass shootings. It just fucking pisses me off. We have mass shootings. We have women's rights being taken away, stripped. We have books being banned and Jews being attacked by fucking fake terrorists, people who are being paid to assault and harass and make Jews feel unsafe. And this is not, first of all, no one even knew about Gaza before October 7th. And yes, you're allowed to protest. Yes, that's what's so great about this country. And you know something? You're allowed to protest in Israel too. Nowhere else in the Middle East. You stand there with your signs and protest the government. And yet this is what these kids and these fucking willfully ignorant assholes are focusing on when in their own country, where they live, when they're yelling, fuck America. Yeah? Well, America's going to fuck you. That's what's going to happen if you don't cut the shit. Okay, sorry, I had to get that out. I can't take the anti-Semitism. I cannot take it. And don't tell me it's anti-Israel. People are being attacked at synagogues. Okay, they're not being attacked at, Jews walking down the street with the yarmulke. You don't know what their opinions are about Gaza. What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't you realize that their charter says kill all the Jews? And you're believing it, and they're laughing. They're just in there, oh, look what we're doing. Look at those fucking idiots. And yet we have Supreme Court justices who are compromised and taking rights away. But you know what? Go get the Jews. Go get the Jews. You know? Don't get an abortion, but go get the Jews. You fucking idiots. Anyway, I just wanted to just add that in just for some fun. and okay, but now I don't know if you're on your treadmill, if you're walking, whatever the fuck you're doing, you will enjoy, I'm telling you, my conversation with the good liars. They're fucking amazing. So sit back, relax, go up a couple of, what is it? Intervals? Do interval training right now on your treadmill and enjoy part 2 of my conversation with the good liars. I really want to talk about January 6th, which I think for you, I mean, what I've read and interviews I've heard you talk about, it really was like a turning point for you, both of you. You went there. First of all, your parents asked you not to go there.
Yes. My dad sent a text. We got there the day before. My dad sent a text and said, I really hope you're not going to DC tomorrow. And I was like, oh, this sucks. You hear from your parents and you're like, you want to do right by them. But then I thought, I'm not going to DC tomorrow. I'm already here. So
you're a good liar. Yeah.
I don't need to say like one way or the other. Oh, no, sorry. That was my mom that sent that text.
Yeah.
And then my dad sent a text later that night after we just like walked around DC and there were like Proud Boys and militias that had kind of taken over the city. And they would like radio each other when you walk by. And they'd be like, there's 2 guys. They're wearing masks. They're coming by. And then you go to the next corner and there'd be another group of like military guys with fucking bulletproof vests. And they'd be like, okay, we see them. They're coming right here. And they were like all over, like created a perimeter all around DC. Wow. So we were feeling very unsafe. And then I got a text from my dad that said, if you're in DC now, leave. And that, he like covered all his bases there.
Right.
Because the first text was not clear.
There were holes all in that
holes.
first text, but this one was...
But we did stay. We stayed. And it was a wild experience. We talk about it in our live show. It's just like we stayed in a hotel. It was like a hipstery hotel. And it was filled with Trump supporters. And we're trying to sleep and they're screaming at the top of their lungs.
Like in their room?
Playing like loud guitar, like they're getting ready to go to battle. And they're like, let's go, baby. Tomorrow's the day. Let's do it,
But then they're all like polite to each other in the lobby. It's like, please and thank you. And they're waiting in line at the coffee shop, the Black Lives Matter, sign at the coffee shop. And everyone's just like well-behaved. And then as soon as they, got riled up at the speech, like everything went off.
You get up the next morning, and are you scared at this point, or are you thinking like if you're seeing these people on walkie-talkies and like, were you like, wait, this is something more? Was there any hint like?
There's a little bit of thing between DeVrom and I, and it's like I'm a little bit more of a glass half full type of guy with things.
Well, he's a Jew. What do you want? Who doesn't wear sunscreen?
So I thought there might be violence, but I just didn't think it was going to be anything like we saw. And I was like, all right, I don't want to get beat up. That's always a goal. I don't want to get beat up. I don't want to get stabbed. Yeah. I don't want to get shot. Right. Those are the big 3. Those are the big 3 for us. And then it's a success. We'll film it. So, but then after Trump's speech, DeVrom had this interview with a guy who was like, I will die in my boots. And like that moment when Trump spoke, it was kind of like a weird thing to hear somebody say like, I'll die for Donald Trump today. And he was like,
and you had never heard anything like that before.
Well, all morning people were like, yeah, the Civil War is coming. Yeah. So it was, there was a lot that day. But this guy, for some reason, he was just so unhinged. Yeah. And he was like, I'll die today if I need to. And we were like, all right, maybe it's
this is a little more than I had.
So we left. So we tried to leave. I mean, we could have.
So where were you standing during the speech? Did you hear Rudy?
No. Well, we heard everything like echoing through the streets. We were like kind of on the outside of it, which is like a lot of times what we do because it's like speeches are boring.
Right.
We've seen them all.
Right.
This day maybe it was a little more historic, but we were on the outside kind of interviewing people around there. And then once Trump was in the middle of his speech, we were going to go because we thought there was going to be violence, and we thought they want to beat people up, and maybe they want to beat us up. So we started driving out, and then we saw like a big crowd of people walking, like a sea of people walking from where Donald Trump had spoken in the ellipse to the Capitol.
You saw them walking.
Right. It
right
wasn't
after
like,
he said, "Meet me."
It wasn't like a typical thing where everyone was like going back to their cars or something.
Right.
It's like, this is a group of people like on the march, and that was very different.
So we pulled over, and then we went to the Capitol.
Yeah. We were like, we got to see what's going to happen. We'll try and be safe, but we got to see whatever's going to unfold.
And at this point, are you thinking, wait, there's way more prep to this than for them? This is not. This was planned. Like, are you thinking this is all fucking planned out for weeks and weeks and weeks?
Well, when we got to the Capitol, we were on the back side of it because we parked like a little bit past it. And then that side, which is where everybody broke in, that was all malicious.
How far away from those people were you?
Oh, I don't know, 50 to 100 feet or something, like from
What?
the crowd or something.
Yeah, maybe a little more than that. I mean,
okay.
we were just far enough to feel like we weren't in it, but
That you were observing.
Exactly.
But
then once they so people started breaking through the police line, and they would get tackled to the ground, and they would get arrested, and more people started to build up, and you start to realize like there just are not enough police officers. Like they're not going to be able to hold this line. And once they broke through, it was just like, obviously it was mayhem. We've all seen the images and the videos, and there was this religious group singing like, "In the name of Jesus, blood protecting this place."
it was this woman. They had like their microphone set up, and she was just like, "In the name of Jesus, the blood of Jesus covering this place."
Was it Anita Bryant or?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Anita Bryant. I knew her. She came
yes.
back to life for this.
But like it just went like full nightmare. Like you think, oh, there's a protest that's getting a little out of hand,
right.
And then it just went fully off the rails, and it was so fast. There were police officers crying, calling for backup because they had no idea what was going on in the building. So it went from like, wow, this might be getting a little out of hand to 100%.
So
chaos.
did you see people get hurt or?
Oh yeah, I mean we saw a guy with like a hole in his face. I think he got hit with a rubber bullet or something. He was just like bleeding. And then later we saw video. We got home. He was on the fucking floor of the Senate with the same hole in his face.
No fucking way.
He left.
Yeah,
he left
came
and
back.
then came back.
Wow.
Great. So you're there. You see this happening. You see them break the windows and go into the Capitol. I mean, I'm watching it on TV going, what? This doesn't happen in this country. Like, have some respect for the Capitol, you know? I mean, were you shocked? Like,
yeah, it's funny. There's a video of it that I took, and it was like, I say, "Oh my God, they're fucking storming the Capitol!"
Right.
And that wasn't like something people said that like storm the Capitol,
right?
But it's exactly what it was. There was one watching it, you know. And afterwards, after we saw that, we were like, pretty dumb. Maybe one of the stupidest things we ever decided to do was, after seeing that, we were like, let's go see what the other side looks like instead of like, let's get out of here.
Right.
So we walk along the side of the Capitol, and there is a group of like 8 of the rioters, and they see that I have a microphone in my pocket,
right.
And they yell at Rob and I, like, "Hey, it's the fake news." And then they come over.
You know, we're not fake news.
Right.
Say that.
No, you are real news.
Real news. Yeah.
And they kind of surround us. And we were like, "Oh man, this could be it." And then a flashbang goes off, which is like sounds like a bomb.
Right.
The police do it, and they turned around, and Ram and I were like, "That's our cue. We're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Oh my
now.
God.
This is not fun."
What did you think was going on inside the Capitol at that point?
Murder?
Yeah, I mean,
really?
It didn't look like the crowd that was flowing in was
like, oh, I'd like to see.
At all.
Yeah.
So we were like, are people just getting killed inside?
Right.
And now we go and we talk to. It's like probably 70% of Trump supporters we talk to, if we bring up January 6th, they're like, "That was Antifa." Everybody knows.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, we were fucking there, and we saw the same people that we'd like interviewed. DeVrom interviewed one guy the day before, then he's there in the crowd, like storming the Capitol. So it's just.
When they started getting arrested, did you recognize any of the people?
Oh
Yeah, one of the first people I talked to, he was just in full military getup. He was on all the FBI wanted lists afterwards. Antifa, of course.
Did you help them? You couldn't help them find any of that. Did
They didn't ask.
They didn't
We were
ask.
posting
They didn't
videos where like they'll ask if they want,
Right.
if they need anything. But we actually, once we saw them break through, we should have filmed a lot more. But we were just in genuine shock.
I can't even imagine. How do you think that event changed you?
I don't know. I've thought about it a little bit. Like, it definitely something changed in us. Where I don't know if it was a motivation or just like the gloves came off a little bit scared for the future. And like, I really, in the weeks after it, I thought at least it's over. At least this is over. Like, our little brush with fascism is over in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Our little brush with fascism.
And it's now we're going into an election where it's like, oh, this guy who told everyone to go to the Capitol is now the leading candidate. And it's just like,
that was another glass half empty moment for me where I was watching. I was like, this is when the Republicans in the Senate are going to break from Donald Trump and say that we've had enough. And they just didn't. And I was like, this is going to get really bad. And Jason was like, I don't know. I think, some people are speaking up. And I think it was like, no, this is the moment and they're not taking it. And here we are.
I'm with you. I was shocked that, how can these people, they did for like a day, right?
Yes.
Like a
Lindsey
day.
Graham
Lindsey
was
Graham
I'm over it.
Right.
And then afterwards he was like, I didn't say I was over Trump. I said I'm over it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mitch McConnell was like, he definitely was the cause of the war.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
And then he just stopped talking. So here we are. We are at this point. I can't believe we're at this point where we have these two candidates. Look,
Young guns. Two young guns.
Yeah, two young guns.
Yeah.
How is it that there's no one out? Like, what? There are how many millions of people in this country?
330?
Yeah. And those are the two fucking candidates. Like, I don't understand it. And look, I don't think Joe Biden's doing such a terrible job.
Yeah,
right? Thank you.
No, a lot of people think he's a good president.
Yeah.
He's not. I would say he's not a great communicator.
Yeah, and not a great candidate.
Yeah.
But he used to be when he was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was better.
Yeah, but the things that he's doing that are good are not communicated well, and it's just the whole discussion is around his age, and we're just heading on this like slow collision course that we lived through 4 years ago. I can't believe we're watching it again.
I am 100% with you. I cannot believe and people keep saying, oh, well, you better get used to it because he's going to be your president. And I'm like, I really don't believe he's going to be. We're recording this, but
You don't believe who's going to be president?
Trump.
Oh, well,
I
don't know. If you look at the poll number, look, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe this is motivating to people. But if you look at the poll numbers now and yes, polls, blah, 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 we're 6 months out, blah, blah, blah. Trump overperforms in presidential elections, like he has in every single poll. And he's going to probably overperform again. People are not going to want to say they'll support him because of January 6th and the indictments and blah, 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 and polls. And who the hell answers a poll anyway?
Right.
And it's just the perfect storm where it's like 2016, where 2016, every single person, the majority of Americans wanted neither, then wanted one of them.
Right.
So it just feels like it's a 2016 situation again. But I was wrong in 2016 when I thought Hillary was going to win.
I thought Hillary was going to win.
And I was wrong. I thought Trump was going to win again.
I've never cried after. I've gotten upset, but that to me was one of the worst It was like when my father died. I felt like grief.
We went to Trump Tower the night of the election and thought we were going to get to do something funny with Donald Trump when he lost and walked past us. But instead, we were in Trump Tower wearing MAGA hats, ready to do like a bit and watching the numbers come in and like, oh, the joke's on us.
Your friend was a whatever. DeVrom knew somebody that was really into like the gambling lines, and at like 8 p.m. or something, where they're in Trump Tower, and DeVrom like looks like he saw a ghost, and he's like, my friend just texted, like, the European markets are you cannot bet on the presidential election anymore because it is a lock for Trump to win. So we look around and we're wearing these MAGA hats and we're like seeing all these people like happy, and we're like, oh, the joke is on us at this point. Just being here, the joke's on us. So it was not a fun night.
So they say that he was surprised, and could you tell that when in his acceptance speech when you were there?
We left.
You left?
We got the hell out of there. Yeah. At that point, we were like, why even be here? One, we weren't in the Hilton where he was speaking. It was like Mike Pence walked right by us that night there, but we were not going to wait there for another 3 hours for it to be called because they still had the West Coast and everything. It was not a fun night.
No, it was a terrible night.
I want to do a lighter thing, and then I want to go to the trial because you went to the Trump trial.
Oh yeah.
The Joe Biden troll, where you want to get your wife back.
Yeah.
Is so fucking hilarious because it so shows his character. Yeah. Can you explain to the lovely
audience? It was a scene in our movie The Supporters, and my character has done something bad, and my wife leaves me, and I'm supposed to my character's supposed to get him with a gotcha question going in, and then he's so sad he just interrupts Joe Biden, and this happens in reality. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Vice President, my wife left me. What advice could you give me? And then he is like, we'll talk about it afterwards. And then I'm press him on it because it's supposed to be a live interview in the movie. And then he just says, I'm beginning to see why your wife left you. And everyone laughs. And then the character's just
roasted.
Destroyed.
That's such a Joe Biden thing to say, too.
Hey, Jack.
But how about how he's like, I'll talk to you about that. Like, who the fuck says that?
Yeah, no. I'm wondering. I wonder if I should have just stayed.
Right.
Got
some real advice.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel guilty? Like, oh God, I'm
never.
Really...
No.
Good.
Yeah, of course we do.
You do?
I mean,
yeah. I think so. Every once in a while, there was a Jeb Bush event in Iowa, and he was going to lose. He just was already going to lose.
Right.
And we went in the audience, and during his speech, we stood up and said, hey, we are seat fillers, and you didn't pay us enough for our time. And he's like, hey, stop. And we're like, no, we're owed another $12.50. And
his face is priceless.
Kind of kicking
so
a guy while he's
off.
down. Yeah. There are times where they don't go exactly how we want them to go, but that was very funny.
Right.
But I did feel a little bit bad about it after.
I grew up in Florida. I don't feel that bad about the Jeb Bush, right?
What is the most surprising? I want to do surprising and scary. So what's the most surprising thing as you're interviewing these people that someone said to you? Where you were like, what? That is fucking crazy.
I just think of Jason's interview when this woman said that Joe Biden was being played by a series of actors, usually Jim Carrey.
Oh.
And her reasoning was that when that famous video of Biden boarding the airplane and he kind of stumbles a couple times, like that was only could have been Jim Carrey. The physical comedy there was too good. And it had to be Jim Carrey, and she was 100% serious. And it's like, we're all just standing there. We're all just people taking in a reality that is so different.
I just had a realization. We should create this for Democrats to get them excited. That should be a conspiracy theory. It's actually Jim Carrey.
Oh, that's funny.
It's actually
Get people
Joe
out to
Biden.
vote?
It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
joke.
that's a
Anyone
great
you're
idea.
Talking about it's a joke. It's a joke.
I love that. What is the most shocking? I mean, I love the guy who's like, you can't fight fire with water. That was one of my favorites. You got to fight fire with fire. You can't fight fire with water. What's one of the most shocking things where you or where you were like, okay, this person needs to be sent away in a fucking straitjacket?
Oh man.
I'm looking at you. I thought. Okay. Well,
you have one. Go
No.
for it.
no.
I mean, so we don't post some of the things that are so awful because it's like, why put that out into the world? But
Right.
Jason had a couple conversations in Greensboro, North Carolina, that were just so wildly homophobic, and it was like there was at one point someone said something terrible, and the crowd behind them clapped in support. Like,
All
a
right,
lot
just
of
say
people-
what they said.
I don't remember. Do
I
you
don't remember.
It was something about. It was like something about God and like
Wow.
creating gay people when God would never do that or
Right,
something
right,
like that.
right.
Yeah,
he
it
like
was-
yells it and like the whole line behind like gives an ovation or just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, and when you press them about the agenda, the gay agenda, and that they're teaching people to be trans, I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's to watch, and you never want to go, you fucking idiot, you stupid fucking dumb piece of shit. You never want to.
I don't know. No, I never want to do that in the moment for
Not
sure.
in the moment.
But
No yes or no questions.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, we like, yeah, sometimes you want to like shake people.
Right.
But ultimately, I think some of what we do comes from a sense of like curiosity and
Right.
wanting to talk to someone and trying to press them on their beliefs that are so, sometimes so terrible and get them to like question that a little bit. So you have to like resist that urge to get upset and more just kind of press them and try and get them to think about it. And that's what's interesting to watch on camera.
Because anger is not funny ever.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And you if you're angry towards somebody, that's what you're going to get back.
Right.
And then
I mean, you
it's double
can
not
be
funny.
angry if you're vulnerable at the same time. So like a caustic vulnerability
Yeah.
kind of thing. But you can't be like just crazy
Right.
angry.
Yeah.
So you do curate it and you do say, I'm not going to publish this because it's too harmful or it's too offensive or.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we put out some pretty out there things that people have said before, but you want to be sensitive to it,
Right.
And you don't want to, certainly never misrepresent somebody, and then also just if something is so terrible, and like also we've had people that like recognize us and are like interview me, and then like,
Right.
they say something,
And
and like, you're just saying that because you want this
Right,
to
right.
be on,
You want you.
yeah,
They want you to.
yeah.
So Trump Jr.
Love him.
Great
He
guy,
is such
yeah.
a class act,
Nice
isn't
guy.
he? Love
And
him.
good looking too.
So can you talk about the book? What didn't he do a book Triggered? And
Yes.
then
Yeah. So we designed a book cover that looked like Triggered, but it was called Daddy, Please Love Me.
I love it.
And then, and Jason, you tried to get him to sign it, and I think he would have.
Yeah.
But it's some
One of his goons was wise to
Yeah.
it. Yeah. He saw
But
that
it's
coming.
that. But I remember watching, and you say, "Daddy, please love me," and his face is like,
Well,
"All right, whatever."
I said from the audience, don't worry, your dad loves you.
Yeah.
And he kind of just stops, and he's like,
I sure
Yeah.
hope
all
so.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sure hope he does love me.
Tell me about you went to the Trump trial. You were there for you thought it was going to be boring, right?
yeah.
You're like, oh, and you're talking about how you got to wait online, and they pay people to wait online for them.
Yep.
The
Line
people.
guys?
Line dudes.
Line dudes.
Yeah.
The press doesn't do that, right? Just
The press does do
Press
that.
does do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's how
Wow.
they,
I
that's
think I
how
know
they
which
get their important
organizations,
people
too.
in there.
Yeah.
wow. Okay, and you don't think you're going to get in, but you do get in, and you're there for the Stormy Daniels,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was wild.
and you thought it was going to be boring.
The day before was Documents Day, I guess they call it, where they just went through a bunch of financial documents,
Yeah.
and there was the thought that could spill over into another day. And then the first thing when we're in there, the defense comes up and talks with the judge and says, like, this witness, like, we just want to make sure that you don't allow discussion that's too graphic, that wouldn't, be part of the case or whatever. So they start debating, and it's clear that it's going to be Stormy Daniels, and she's going to be talking about their sexual encounter. And you're like, oh, this was a good day to wake up at 3 a.m. and go
Glass
wait in
half
line.
full,
Yeah,
huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was wild. I mean, we were there. Had we been like two people earlier, whatever, we would have been in the courtroom. But I was kind of happy that we weren't, because we were in the overflow room, which is the video, so we get to see Trump, like his reactions, and then you see her on the stand, and it was really interesting. It was really interesting just hearing her say it, like the experience, and like talking about his gold tweezers and the sexual position that they had. It was you thought that she was telling the truth about it, and it's Trump's whole
Well,
thing. Is
duh.
like,
Did she talk about the mushroom, the tiny penis?
no, and they were very
fuck.
specific. They were very specific.
That was like the
about that.
That was the
conversation.
thing,
They were
'cause she
like,
had-
please don't let her say that.
Right.
Please
Please,
don't let her say
please.
What did you think of Trump? I mean, you had seen him at all these rallies. What did you think of Trump in that situation?
He's just slouched over and then closes
Yeah.
his eyes half the time, and like I don't know if he was sleeping or just not paying
that. Or
attention.
praying or
Praying.
what.
Yeah, because he's very into. Now, you also sold a Bible. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
The Trump Bible.
Yeah.
It's a great, the best Bible.
Yeah.
The good book is now a great book, is what we like to say.
A collection of cautionary tales of Trump's life.
I love it. I love it. Did anyone buy it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people couldn't get their money out fast enough, to be honest, and that was a thing where I don't know. It was, I think
One guy returned it.
One guy
He
returned
was
it
like,
because
this is not what I thought it was. I want
because
my
it
money
was
back.
like a John Grisham book
With a fake book
with a fake
cover
book
on it,
over
yeah.
on it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I want to know how you feel. First of all, do you think I mean, for me, right now, the thing that drives me up a wall are Queers for Palestine as a gay, because it's so, it just drives, as a gay activist and someone who's been to Israel on gay, trips and met with Palestinian, and like, it drives me up a wall. Will you ever broach the topic of the Middle East? Because that can really fuck everything up for you.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, to answer the first part or the second part of it, yes. I mean, it's going to be a huge issue in the election, so
Yeah.
I think it's going to be something that you're going to have to talk about. I think what's happening is there's sad and appalling, and a lot of things that are
Yeah.
happening. It's getting a lot less coverage in Africa as well. Is
In
horrible.
Sudan, I mean,
Yeah.
forget it.
But I do think because the U.S. is supplying the arms here, and it puts Biden under the spotlight there. So it's definitely, I mean, I hope for peace, and I hope that it can be for the sake of the world, but for also like the children there to just
And the hostages.
thousands,
The hostages. Yeah. It's
hostages,
awful.
children. It's all awful. So I hope for peace, and I hope that Biden will do more to demand it, and I do think it's going to hurt him. I do think there is
Well, that's why I think people are going to vote for Trump.
or not vote,
Or
which
not
I think
vote, yeah.
I think it's like younger people. You look, the world like only from your lived experience, and
Right.
if your lived experience now is your 4 years of college, this is the world. It's not
But
the
it's
world that
also
we
like-
knew in the 70s and 80s.
The way I look at it is like, how is this your issue? I mean, they're stripping away women's rights in our country, and there's so much going on in other parts of the world, but right here in our country, we are in a really bad situation. They're banning books. You can't get an abortion, and this is, you're sitting here. It's, I don't know. It just really, it's annoying to me.
I understand where your thought process there, but I think a lot of people are looking at this and they're seeing, the images. Maybe, we live in a world where everyone has their online bubble,
You're
and
not
you're
kidding.
getting your news from one source, and and you're looking
Well,
at other
from
people.
you.
Yeah,
Right.
if you're only getting it from me. You
us
wouldn't
and
even know
only
what's
us.
happening. Yeah, but like, no, you're going to see on your timeline dead children. and
Right.
You're going to say, don't react to that. Don't have
Right.
a feeling about
Right.
that. Like, I understand where the point of view of the protesters, and I do think the U.S. needs to do something
Right.
about this, because it is the students and a lot of protesters are saying like, hey, these are U.S. bombs
Right.
being used. So I understand that, and if you look back, like if you take a step back and you look at what's going to happen with the election, I do think it's going to be a huge,
Yeah, it's a huge issue. Yeah.
and I think rightfully so.
And but it's also like you look at the Supreme Court. Like I remember during the 2016 election, you would interview these young women, and they're like, "Why do I have to vote for Hillary Clinton? There's going to be a woman president in my lifetime." And then juxtapose that with this 100-year-old woman being wheeled to the polls going, "I never thought I'd ever be able to vote for," I mean, I don't know, I'm making her Jewish, but whatever. "I never thought I'd be able to vote for a woman." And are you hopeful? Like, you are out there. You see these people. You see why they're angry. Is there any hope?
For what?
Yeah.
I mean, for the country, or for the people there?
Please.
For the country,
Yeah.
we have some pretty depressing conversations about it. I got to be honest. It's like just Trump being convicted of all these felonies. Like there's something great about watching someone be held accountable who's managed to never be held accountable
Right.
before in that way. But it also just like set the stage for another even more divisive period
Right.
of time. And so we have watched this for long enough that I don't understand how the screws get untightened. I don't see how that happens. So
like the Jim Jordans and how is he still in there? I hate that fucker. Can you do something with him, please?
Yes.
Like a wrestling thing,
Yes.
please.
Yes, we will. I promise you.
It's just awful. And you look, there's parallels. Like Netanyahu is as bad, or if not worse than Trump. And it's just so fucking frustrated. So you have no hope, is what you're saying.
No, I don't want to say that. I know, even like going out interviewing people at the Trump rallies, we have people, you run into people that you like, even though you disagree with everything. Right. So I think as people, like there's still good people out there, and it's going to be the good people.
Positive and not
I
Jewish.
said I was glass half full.
Yeah.
I said I was glass half full.
I don't have that same hope.
But so I'm not. But I think Trump's going to win. So is my.
Do you,
thought.
Davram?
I do. I really.
I gotta move. I gotta look for fucking. Who's a real estate person here?
Man.
Really? Does anyone? We're at the end, but I didn't know if anyone had any questions or thoughts. Or no, I don't want your thoughts. I just want to know if anyone has any. Yes.
I'm kind of curious at this point, like, do you, when you're doing your brainstorming and things, not of like a movie, but just a little bit, do you have like a goal in mind of what message you're trying to get across, and then thinking of like the funniest and best ways that you could do that? Or is it kind of the opposite? Like,
wait, let me repeat it. That you're asking if when they're doing their brainstorming and prep, if they have a goal in mind.
Of the message. You're trying to get across.
That you're trying to get across.
Is it always like that, or is it more like?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think the motivation sometimes, like we were talking about anger earlier, like that is a motivation. Like what really bothers us and what do we want to comment on? So it's like getting to that and then finding the question that's going to lead us to either figuring out what the hell's going on in some of these people's heads, or just exposing the hypocrisy in some of the beliefs with it. Does that answer the question?
I think it's a yes. I mean,
Yes.
we are looking for the way to get to a response that proves the point that we have thought about before going out there usually. But 90% of the time, the conversation goes totally off the rails in a way that you would never expect.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, you really picked the best subjects to interview. Are you ever confused?
Yes. Often.
Yeah.
all the time.
oftentimes,
Okay.
Yeah. Every time after we go to one of these things and like sit in the car for a second, there's usually like 5 minutes of silence. What the fuck
Is it
just
exhausting?
happened?
It must be
It's so
exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
I mean, he's 23. Look at him.
I know. You look like
It is
shit.
Yeah.
Aged me.
Looks
Yeah.
like
I
shit,
started out-
doesn't he?
Yeah. Ugh.
I cannot thank you. And I am such a big fan of you two. I think
appreciate
Back at ya.
you're doing God's work, G-D. You're doing God's work. I know you're probably going to be really busy right now, correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But please, really? Please keep doing what you're doing. You're so smart. So we need you. We need to laugh in the face of terror because I feel terrorized. But thank you. The Good
thanks for having
Liars.
Thanks for having us. Really
Please
appreciate it.
watch their films. Do you have a new film coming out?
No comment. No
Okay.
comment.
Oh, I didn't know. Please, you guys are great. What your is it just at the Good Liars?
Yeah. TGL NYC on Instagram, and then we've got a Patreon, patreon.com/thegoodliars.
Oh, that's good cash, baby.
Hero.co/thegoodliars.
And your new podcast.
And a new podcast, The Good Liars
right.
Tell the Truth. And we have a live show in Los Angeles on June 25th.
Oh,
Wow.
and I heard you have comedians on your podcast.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I know some in case.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are
Okay.
comics, so I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know.
Great.
Yeah,
we
we
should
needed
ask.
to-
We
Yeah.
should ask Judy about
Yeah,
who we should
About
get
some
later.
of the people, yeah. And I know
Some of the other
Liz-
people, yeah.
Liz here, who manages the Comedy Cellar, she has their email. So,
Oh, great. That would be great. Be good to get
thank
an
you.
introduction.
yeah, thank you. Thank you all for coming out today. Thank you guys. You fucking rock.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you so much for listening to It's Judy Show with Judy Gold. This podcast is produced by Laura Vogel, edited by Colin Schmaling, and the theme song and backup vocals are by Lauren Gold, who is fucking amazing and is going to be on the podcast, and we're not related, but we love each other. Just a reminder, I am in P-Town, in Provincetown, starting this Thursday. Starting this Thursday, I can't fucking think. Thursday, Sunday, and Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. at the Post Office Cabaret. So get your fucking tickets and your asses there. I will be at the Milton and Betty Katz Jewish Community Center on July 11. So get your asses there. Get your tickets. That's in Margate, New Jersey. Yeah. And I cannot thank you enough for listening to my cast of pod. Hey, get it? God, it's early. And I'm going to be on The View. I am going to be on The View this Thursday, me and Sandy again. So tune in for that. I totally forgot to plug that. You know why I never plugged that? Because the last time I was supposed to be on The View for my book, John Lewis died. So they were like, we're not doing your segment. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I mean, it's John Lewis. What the fuck? Can you complain? But it's just my luck, you know? So he's dead. So hopefully I'll still be on the podcast. Be on the show on Friday. And that's it. I love you all for listening to the end. If you're still listening, I love when people come up to me and tell me they listen. And I just, please subscribe and leave a review. Please. It really helps. And I love you. So thank you again for listening. And as we always say, so long.